is what made you make your documentary?
Okay.
And it was amazing. It was really, yes, I'm gonna go read all those poems and all his books, and it's so nice to have you here with us today. So please tell us about it.
Okay. First, I'm starting with Amani Soyinka, who is one of the writer's children. Um, she lives around here. She came to see the film for the first time, so I'm happy you're here. Ebrohimie Road came from the research I was doing when I first discovered that house in the University of Ibadan, where I went between 2000 and 2005. I had known that the writer had lived on campus and had been a member of staff, but the circumstances around his leaving was not very clear. He had written about it, but not given all the details. And there was this famous photograph that was on the cover of a book I had written in 1994 that had fascinated me for many years. So when I discovered that the building was still there, was when I started showing interest in the place, and I was writing a book at the time. So the more I researched about the house, the more I learned about the many, many other stories connected to it. He had been arrested in Nigeria famously, and he had written a book about it. The man died. But I had not known that he had lived in that house before he was arrested. I mean, he wrote about that as well, but I didn't know that he left, when he left, why he left. And I hadn't known also that his wife had lived there way longer than he had after he left. So she actually was the most, constant occupant of the house since the early 60s to the 80s. So the more I read, the more I discovered new things. And then when I finally wrote to him about it and he had mistaken the house for someone else, was when I really got curious about the concept of memory and the idea that places might mean a lot to us and might mean something else to other people for a variety of reasons. And of course, I'm trying to find out the reason why somebody who had lived in a house would have blotted out that part of his memory was why, the subject of the film itself. And in talking with the children, in talking with so many other people, I finally was able to piece together the idea that memories can mean so much, can carry pain, can carry fond memories. And in doing the film, I was able to finally understand why he left Ibadan in the university and what was the situation at the time, which connects to the story of the university itself, connects to Nigerian political history, and also connects to Soyinka's literary trajectory, because even though he had become popular, he was a writer that was already known at the time and very notable. When he left Ibadan, after he wrote The Man Died, was when the global literary community started mentioning him as a possible Nobel Prize winner. That was 1971. So it's still connected to the house in some way. Of course, he won the Nobel Prize finally in 1986. So that's the story. Thank you.
I think my favorite part was at the end where you were showing that all the people, Maya Angelou and all the people had those homes,
yes.
and he wasn't
Memorializing.
Yeah.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
there's something that's also concerned me for a long time about how we preserve things in Nigeria or in Africa generally, or how the lack of it, how we don't usually take as much care as possible to preserve memory in things we can see, things we can care about. And I've been to many other places. Many of those photos I took, the Mark Twain boyhood home in Hannibal. And I've been in the US, I've been around, I've seen how people preserve places of significance and how they use it to tell a story, to reinforce identity and stuff like that. So in discovering this house and realizing, comparing it to how other places have been documented and preserved, I'm hoping to tell to places on the conscience of the people who matter in Nigeria to do something about the house. And if they don't, at least the film itself also tries to do its own to memorialize it in a way that continues forever.
Please.
I'd love to hear.
Please.
Yes.
Introduce yourself and tell us about you, please.
Okay, well, my name is Amani Soyinka. I'm the seventh child of Kola Tubosun, and I'm honored to be here to represent my siblings and my father, and to be able to see this film. And yeah.
Ooh, this gives the chills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
Unfortunately, I was born about 10 years after, and so I did not spend any time in the home. But of course, my siblings did, and that was a very important period in their lives. what defines them today. So it's,
And there's a part of the story that I'm going to put on the spot. When he left Ibadan, he went to Ghana, he was mentioned. That was when he met her mom.
yes. So while he was in
So she's
exile,
part of the story in some way
working
as well.
yes,
The exile away from Nigeria, he was in Ghana. Her mom is Ghanaian, and that was when they met. They had a relationship for a number of years, and she was born.
and that was yes,
So-
born in exile. Next movie.
One
Born in
story,
America
right?
now.
That's a good one, born in
American.
exile.
Exile, yes.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Anybody have questions?
So would the to preserve this house, would other entities could get involved to help save this house, or?
I'm hoping so. So the house belongs to the university, and the university is a federal institution. Soyinka is revered in Nigeria at the federal level, so if the government wants to do something about it, they can do it immediately. But also, I'm hoping that if there are organizations that can help, maybe position the university about, maybe picking up, buying the house, or giving them an offer that they can't refuse, that could help. Because I think the reason why the university was trying to remove it and build a shopping mall, etc., is one of those problems we have in Nigeria where we don't value stories as much as physical commercial things, and somebody somewhere may have thought that building a commercial center was more valuable, or maybe they didn't even know that the house had such historical significance, because the people who